Welcome back, YouTubers, and today we're working on a 2005 Chevy Rust Bucket. Apparently this van right here, it is a Venture. It is from Canada, and I was going to lift it up on the lift, but I am unable to do that at the moment because it is so rusted out, if I can talk, that it actually started to crush the rocker on here, but the guy does not want to get rid of it. And you would think that he would, because he does have a good bit of money. His other car is a Mercedes, which I may be doing a video on it next because he wants me to work on that as well. But he wants me to check the front suspension because he said he had a sheared off bolt. I'm guessing it's probably a sway bar end link because that's pretty typical on these, but he wants me to do brakes all around, an oil change, and then see what that sheared off bolt is. So what we're going to do first is I'm going to go ahead and replace the brakes on the rear. It does have drum brakes, and we will get to that. I went ahead and bought all the brakes, the rotors, pads, drums, shoes, and even went ahead and picked up some sway bar end links. I got the Precision brand, and all this stuff is from O'Reilly's. They're not a sponsor or anything, but we're going to check it out, and hopefully I can get this off the ground without ruining the rockers anymore. We're going to lift it up on the rear support tube for the wheels, and we'll go off the control arms on the front. I'm just going to use a jack and do it old style. But without further ado, we're going to get to it. Alright, I've already done the other side, and now we're going to do this side. And just as an FYI, these right here are extremely rusty, and I had to beat the crap out of the other one to get the other drum off. So probably going to have to swing the hammer for a while on this one, but it is what it is. And this car does have wheel locks. And yes, I am barefooted and in shorts, just so everybody knows. Let me grab my hammer. Alright, let's knock this off. Wheel bearing don't feel bad, surprisingly. I'm just going to use a screwdriver to knock this top spring off. I'll show it to you closer whenever I get to that. I'll show you the spring too. I'll show you how all this goes whenever I get it off. Not what I wanted to do. Behind it a little bit. There we go. So here's the spring right here. It goes in like this with it facing towards there. If you kind of pick straight up and tilt it back, it should come right out. And then this spring right here on the tensioner piece of it. There's a little latch in there. It just hooks on there. And I know these are kind of rusted, but up inside of there, that's where this little tensioner piece goes. Like I said, it latches inside just like that. And then here's your adjuster or tensioner. I'm going to clean it, and then I'm going to put it all the way in as far as I can. And this little hook piece goes on the back side like that, and the longer piece on the other side goes out, so it'll sit like that with this piece facing towards you. And then your e-brake connects in here on the driver's side, well, facing the front of the vehicle, not the driver's side, but this is driver's side anyway. As you can see, they were busted, cracked, and almost touching the rivet parts. We got a new tensioner hold clip and spring. I got this from O'Reilly's, and that right there is the part number H7287. This is part number for the brakes. It just says 636, but that little number is 200-506, and they are brake vest. And then the drums that I got are right here. It is 2051 DGS. But I'm gonna clean all this up real quick, and then I'll come right back. I'll let y'all see it when I'm finished cleaning it. We got it all cleaned up, and I got this spring back on and went ahead and put the e-brake cable onto the pad, and it just goes in right there on that top piece. They can be a little bit hard to put in, so you may have to play with it a little bit. And a little trick that I'm going to use is I put a zip tie around it. Make sure it's a heavy duty one where it's not going to break. That way you can grab it and pull on it. See how I'm doing? So you can get it over and latched into that little slotted hole right there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set y'all down for a minute, and I'm going to get it in position, and I'll show you how I do this. So I just pulled back on it a little bit and slid the pad up, or the shoe up in place. And as you can see, it's got to go in that little slot right there. And it probably needs to just rock a little bit just to get it to engage. But I'm going to pull up on it a little bit, get it to move so we can get it into that slot. And there we go. That one's in place. The next one is the hard one. And when you get through, just cut your zip tie off. Yeah, this one right here is the harder one to do. You can see right there how well you can see that little shiny spot down in there. That's where it's at, and it's got to go all the way over to that slot. So you got a good bit to slide it over, but what I'll use is a screwdriver to pull it out, and then one to pry it back. But I'm probably going to go ahead and engage it real quick, and then once I get it engaged, I'll come right back. You can see how I got it just pressing against it. I'm going to get my screwdriver, and I'm going to pry right here while holding it over here. And that one right there is in. I know it's kind of windy, sorry about that. It stays windy over here in this area. Kind of gets aggravating sometimes. Alright, here's our new spring right there. Okay, we got the adjuster in now, and the way I did it was use this big screwdriver and make sure that you have your adjuster clip right here in first, and then you can pry out. You can see how it moved on me, but you can pry right here and it'll move. You can do either side if you want to, but you pry out and then you can slide this adjuster in. But it's in there now, and now what we're going to do is we're actually going to put the new spring in from here to there. And the best way I've found to do this is slide the front of it in first, let that hang, and then I actually use this trim piece tool, and you hook it in, and then you can just pry it over. And clip it right in. Now that we have all that put together, we can slip the new drum over and check the clearances on it. See how it moves freely? And there's really no dragging on it. We'll take it back out, and then we're going to adjust it. So just as I expected, the sway bar link is broke, and that's the bolt he was talking about is sheared off. And I've got a feeling it's going to be a pain to get out. It's probably rusted up in here if it's broken off right there, because I can actually push down on the rubber piece and I can't even feel the end of it. So it's broke off probably down next to the metal sleeve. So we're going to try to get this out. I did get the Precision brand. It is K700527. Let's see if we can get this thing out. I may have to end up torching this out, but hopefully not. I'm gonna put y'all where y'all can actually see something. There we go. It was so rusted that it just broke off, which is a good thing. Made it a lot easier on me. So that is the new one right here, and it does come with instructions on how to put it together. And make sure you put a rubber bushing with the sleeve in it, and another rubber bushing, then the washer, then the metal sleeve, and then another bushing, then a bushing, then the cap nut. Start it by hand. There should be enough tension on it to hold that cap nut on the top from turning. Now we're going to move on to the front brakes. I had to show you all this right here. You don't see this every day. Somebody welded the head of the bolt to the caliper itself. One thing I can think of is that the threads were stripped and they didn't want to buy a new caliper. But we should be able to take this bottom bolt off right here and slide this caliper out. So these bolts are 15s. And we're going to see if we can get these out. Oh wow, that one wasn't even tight at all, but it is coming out. They wanted one to come out and one not, I guess. Freaking weld on there. Okay, we got it off that now. We just had to take the whole bracket assembly off as one piece. And luckily for me, the rotor actually is really loose. So I'm going to go ahead and pull this off. The hub actually don't look all that bad. here is the bracket with the pads in it. We're going to clean this up right here, put some grease on it and put the pads in it, and then I'll slip the rotor on, and after I put the rotor on and all that stuff, I will come back and show how I'm going to put this back on. Another thing is, make sure you hang your calipers up, and we're going to clean out the inside of these as much as we can. Check the boot on that. I will contact the customer also, see if he wants to get a new one because of the bolt being welded to this one. I highly suggest it, but we'll see. But I'll be back as soon as I can with any of the information that I got. So I wanted to show the part numbers real quick before I throw this stuff on here. These are the rotors on the front, the 56631 RGS, and there's two of these. And then here is the brake pads themselves, and it has the hardware. These are C699s. But I just wanted to show you that real quick before I start putting everything on. But like I said, as soon as I hear back from the customer, I'll let you know. So the customer got back in touch with us, and he does not want to do the caliper. So he said that this will probably be the last set of brakes that gets put on it because it is so rusted. And he said before that he'll get another vehicle. So I guess we're going to do what we can right now. Like I said, this thing has severe rust. So you can see that right there is the actual, pretty much the frame sort of the car, and it is flaking off, and you can see the bushings. Yeah, this whole car is rotted. But he wants to just wait, so what we're going to do is, I've already put lube on here. I used a C-clamp and an old pad just to press this back in, and there's already an ABS light on and a check engine light. He needs wheel speed sensors, which are made into the hubs on these, so he needs brand new hub assemblies, and he needs an O2 sensor also, but he's not going to do that either because the exhaust is pretty rotted off too. It's loud, and there's only like, it's in kilometers, there's like 214,000 kilometers on this, which really isn't that many miles. But he said do what we can. He's just gonna keep driving it until it falls apart, I guess, which, like I said, he does have another vehicle, and it is a Mercedes, and he said he drives that more anyway. But let's continue on this right here and get this finished for him, because the next thing I want to do after I do the brakes is going to be doing an oil change on it, but I'm not going to show that in the video. But let me get these brakes back on. Like I said, I'm going to put grease on that. I've already greased up all the contact areas, and I got the pads in also. Right here, I've already put grease inside the boots, greased outside of the pads a little bit. Don't need to put much, and put a little bit on the sliders as well where the pads go. But we're going to stick this back on, and we're going to have to stick the caliper on in the slider area and then slide it over the pads, then put it all back on as a whole assembly. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that on real quick, and then I'll bring y'all back. As you can see, we got it back together now, and put the brake squealer on the outside. We do have Loctite on the bracket bolts, and I've already torqued everything down. The bracket bolts torqued to 58 foot-pounds on this one according to spec. And then we got the new sway bar end link on. That is the new design. We're going to bleed the brakes real quick because they were pretty spongy, but I'm not going to show that or the oil change on here. Just remember, when you bleed brakes, you want to go from furthest from the master cylinder to the closest, which would be passenger rear, passenger front, then driver front. And if you don't have an automatic bleeder, you're going to have to get somebody to help you do it, and that way it'll make it easier on you. But this is going to conclude the video. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And if you would, if you'd hit that trifecta button of the subscribe, like, and notification bell, it helps the channel out. And until next time, y'all have a great day.